Well, I had some really high expectations for you, but you're not living up to them, so I think I'm going to have to let you go.
In the past, Thomas Green has been very successful in his jobs. He had worked as a salesman and an account executive. Since he had done so well in these positions, he was promoted to senior marketing specialist by the travel division vice president, Shannon McDonald. She promoted him knowing that he had no management experience, but he was confident that he would figure it out. When Green showed up for his new job, he was greeted by a less than welcoming new boss, marketing director Frank Davis. Davis was upset about Green getting hired because Davis had thought that he was going to hire the new senior marketing specialist, since it was his old job. As soon as Green became aware of this, it began a long line of mistrust and bad communication. Green never sought out Davis's help about how to do his job or how to manage well, and Davis wanted Green to do certain things, like make sure his Outlook calendar was constantly updated, and Green would not comply. This created a lot of tension between the two men, and when it came time for Davis to give a report back to McDonald about Green's progress, Davis made it clear that he did not like Green in this position.
There were four main issues that contributed to the fundamental management problem. The first was Green's unwillingness to adapt to his new position. Before his promotion, Green worked as a salesman at National Business Solutions, where he was very successful at selling ATMs. Dynamic Displays then recruited Green to be an account executive. Green's ambition always had him more focused on the next promotion instead of the job at hand. Green also displayed an inability to recognize the new responsibilities his job demanded. In his past positions, Green was never required or asked to keep proper documentation, report to a higher authority on a daily basis, or update his Outlook calendar in order to do his job well. Davis made it clear from the beginning that Green would need to adapt to the new requirements and expectations of his position. In his first meeting, Davis told Green that he expected Green to spend a significant amount of time preparing for client meetings and developing supporting detail for proposals. Davis suggested that he support his proposals with PowerPoint presentations, spreadsheet models, and emails. Green viewed these models as fancy and political. Green also failed to establish and maintain good relationships. Before promoting Green, McDonald explained that she hoped he would compensate for his lack of managerial experience by seeking out guidance from more seasoned managers. McDonald also told Green that his and Davis's relationship may be complicated from the beginning because Davis had expected to choose his replacement, who would not have been Green. This put a strain on their relationship from the start, which developed into a conflict and mistrust between the two. This was realized when Green vocally disagreed with Davis's sales projections during a meeting. The final problem was Green's poor communication with peers and management. After meeting with Davis and discussing concerns, Green went to other managers to talk about his frustrations with Davis. Davis was under the impression that they had come to an understanding on what behaviors needed to be changed. Instead, Green saw this as a personal attack and was convinced Davis was trying to get rid of him. Green proceeded by avoiding Davis whenever he could.
There are a few solutions that we would recommend to Thomas Green and the rest of the Dynamic Display team. We believe that for the conflict and office politics to be resolved, Green and the Dynamic Display team must use this advice and implement it. Before we come up with our final solution, we believe that these steps must be taken first. Before any of the promoting or hiring took place, Thomas Green should have known his own strengths and weaknesses. As a salesman or an account executive, Green excelled and was a top employee. The saying, "If it isn't broke, don't fix it," can apply to the situation. During the hiring process, there was very little communication between McDonald and Davis. Davis was under the impression that he would be hiring the next senior marketing specialist and filling his old shoes. However, McDonald promoted Green without ever consulting Davis. Many of the conflicts could have been avoided if there was proper communication between Green, Davis, and McDonald. Regarding future hiring of this position, McDonald should seek the approval of Davis instead of going over his head. We believe that the proper solution is for all three respective employees to have a meeting in order for McDonald to discuss her feelings on why Green was a good candidate for the position. Once again, McDonald should reiterate the importance of Green learning from Davis and his other peers. There were a few training and educational programs that Green could have attended but failed to take advantage of. Along with discussing Green's performance, his relationships with management should have been discussed. Green exercised poor organizational politics by going to other managers first instead of his own. His reluctance to meet with Davis points to the poor relationship. Making personal appeals and offering sincere flattery are a couple ways Green could have enhanced his relationship with Davis and McDonald. Another topic that needs to be addressed are Davis's emails. He offered some insights as to how to get the job done more effectively. Some of these recommendations from Davis included keeping him updated on the Outlook calendar, providing feedback in a timely manner, and demonstrating a more positive attitude. McDonald should suggest that David and Green meet on a regular basis instead of just meeting for performance reviews. If Green and Davis are unable to develop a strong work relationship, a drastic change needs to be made. We believe that Thomas Green should resign from his current position of Senior Marketing Specialist and return to his former position of Account Executive at Dynamic Displays. If he is unwilling to resign, then McDonald needs to take the necessary steps in removing Green from his current position.
In order for this problem to be solved, there are several steps that should be taken. First, Thomas Green needs to perform a self-evaluation on himself. He needs to recognize that his career is in jeopardy if the certain changes are not made. Next, Green should meet with McDonald and discuss their feelings regarding what has happened within the workplace at Dynamic Displays. After this initial meeting, Green, Davis, and McDonald should have a follow-up meeting. During this follow-up meeting, McDonald needs to explain to Davis why she felt Green was the right candidate for the Senior Marketing Specialist position. McDonald should then tell Green that she had an expectation of him shadowing and learning from his peers, especially Frank Davis. McDonald should also make Green participate in the educational and training programs that are offered by Dynamic Displays. Then, McDonald should encourage Green to work on his relationships within the workplace. Later in the meeting, the group should discuss the advice that Davis offered to Green, including updating his Outlook calendar and following up when information is requested of him. McDonald should suggest to Green and Davis to meet more often in order to maintain a strong level of communication. Finally, if the necessary changes cannot be made, Green should resign. If worse comes to worse, McDonald should remove Green from his current position. Hopefully, our solution and action plan will persuade Green to make the necessary changes in order to keep his job and perform effectively and efficiently.
All right, Thomas, I got your evaluations back and it looks like you're doing a lot better. You want to tell me what you changed?
I have updated my Outlook calendar more frequently, and I've also had a more positive outlook in the workplace.
That's great. All right, well, we'll just continue in this position. Thanks for your time today.